Welcome to Engineering Scale Models. I'm Jason, your host, and I do models. This is episode 2 of my Xbox series, fixing my very first Xbox One S. First off, I would like to ask, I'm tempted to change the name of the channel to Beyond Engineering and Electronics Repair, BEER. Let me know what you think in the comments about that. Well, let's get started with this video. Where we left off before, I had the Xbox out, we looked at the HDMI port, and I am going to take this time to clean this up a little bit and take off this heat sink. So I have a little vacuum with a brush here. I'm just going to clean this off here like this. Clean the inside of the tray. Clean the board off here. Some of this fan cleaned up. This fan's pretty dirty. It's going to have to be cleaned more than this little vacuum can do. So I'm going to get this heat sink off in a minute here. Just want to limit the amount of dust that ends up on my bench. So get this all cleaned up here. And this will look as good as new when I get done with it. So, alright, so there's that. Put that away. Let's get our cage put up here with the rest of the parts. And let's see if we can take off this heat sink here. So I watch people do this and I watch people struggle and it freaks me out. So I'm going to try this X-clamp removal tool that I got to see how this works. I've never taken an X-clamp off before. So I'm curious to see how this works. I don't want to do any damage to the board. See how that is supposed to work. Yeah, I don't see how that's supposed to work. It's digging into the board. We have some buildup over here, so I am going to try to... No, let's try the screwdriver method that I've seen people use. I wonder if I come in here with this. There we go. I don't like that. Let's see here. Let's see. Alright, so we got that off. A little bit of scratching. We'll take a look at that under the microscope, but That's my first time taking off one of these X clamps, so let's see what we have here. Let's flip this over. Let's take a look here. Let's get this fan connector off. Alright, so we got very little, very caked up thermal paste on it. Surprised this hasn't overheated. I don't see any damage to the board. Let's clean this up under here a little bit. Clean that under there. Let's get this a little bit cleaner. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that fan off too. That fan off. But let's take a look at where I used that clamping unit, that clamp remover under the scope here, and see if I did any damage to that trace that I think I did. So let's take a look here. So I used it right here and I put some marks on the board. Let's see here if I did anything to it. So let's get this in focus. Okay, so it looks like I dinged the board up here and here. It doesn't look like it broke that trace, but I will put some solder mask on there. Over here, so I did a little bit there, a little bit of scratching there. I don't think I got anything over by this one. No. What about this one right here? No. No, a little bit minimal right there. But see, this has got some kind of liquid on it. I don't know if that's flux or leftover flux or something did get on this. So, as you can see, there is could be the imprint of the base, it looks like, because it's a sharp edge. It's a sharp edge that goes all the way around. So it could be, there could have been a little bit there. I'll clean all that up. So, let's go back to the overhead camera here. So I'm just going to clean all this up right here. I don't know what that is. I'm not sure what that is, so I'm just going to zoom in here, lighten up the image for you guys. And I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to clean it with my trusty toothbrush. Actually, you know what? I have a new... This is working. Just gently get this here. There we go. I'm sure that did it. And then I'll come in here with a chem wipe and some alcohol. Now, just to let you know, the supply of chem wipes has ran out. So, well, not quite ran out. I still have some. But I switched over temporarily to these clean room wipes. They're a little bit thicker, very white. But let's try this here. Chem room wipe. They're huge. I might have to cut them down. But they're supposed to be a lint-free type of cleaning cloth. So, but we got that clean. But yeah, I switched over to these from the Chem wipes. These are AA wipes. They're clean room wipes. See, it's also, I'm noticing a lot of buildup over here. So, yeah, if you can see this, all this buildup over here. So I'm changing the port that's over here. So the port's gonna get changed. So I just need to make sure I clean all this up. Looks like there may have been a little something that got in the bottom case here. Could have been something, not really, it doesn't have that outline shape to it. So I'm not sure what is going on there. So, but I'll clean up the board. I mean, it's caked on there, that's for sure, but I'll give it a good clean. And we'll get this HDMI port. So I'm going to come back and we're going to pull this HDMI port here. This one right here, we're going to pull this port off. It's already missing some solder here. That hole is not filled. So I don't know if someone has tried to change this port before and failed, but the pads don't look like it's been changed before. So I'm not sure. And we have the encoder chip here. May need to change that. I'm not sure. I want to change the port and then test it. And then I have this, we'll go ahead and get some of this, we'll go ahead and get the thermal paste off of here. And there wasn't that much thermal paste on there. And it's pretty caked up. So, clean this thermal paste off of here. It's old stuff. So we're ready to go. I'm still waiting on my port, so I'm going to film the next section of the port change it. You know, when the ports come in a couple days. They were supposed to be here yesterday, and they haven't shown up yet. So I just wanted to get this part filmed, the cleaning of the console, and then the port taken off. I'm going to go ahead and take the port off until the port arrives. Then I'll be ready to go. I'll just come in here with a little bit of alcohol. Clean up this heat sink here. And when we're ready to put it back together, we can just put the perfect amount of compound on there, and I will probably put the wrong amount, either too much or too little, you know, but we'll pull it back off and check it, you know, all that good stuff. So, alright, so this is, I just got to clean this fan. I will do that off camera. Probably could try to take this off here. Let's see here. Zoom out for this. Never taken one of these off before, so I don't want to break it. Let's get the board out of the way. That one. This fan is on here tight, let me tell you. I'm just gonna get this one here. There we go. I think I got it. this is easier to put on. Oops. There we go. We got that off. So I'll give this another hit with the vacuum off camera, and then I'll get this fan all cleaned up. Alright guys, I'll be back in a bit with the HDMI port removal. Alright, on to the next part of this video. I'm going to remove this HDMI port here, and I will be using some low melt solder. Just going to turn on the Hakko iron. A lot of people say don't use the low melt. This is my first port removal, and I just want to not rip any pads, so I will add a little bit. Well, I will add the appropriate amount to this port here that I need to add. So we add a little bit of flux, and I can't get it under the scope at the moment because I got it set up for the other part of this. So let us add low melt solder to all these pins here. Okay, so there's that. Now let's flip it over here and we'll add it to the 4 pins here. Add a little bit of flux first. Okay, so a little bit of low melt to this. Adding the low melt. Oh, that's off camera. I'm sorry. Adding the low melt to this. Just gonna get it all flowed in there. Alright, so we got that. Clean that garbage off my tip. I'm not a fan of low melt solder, but I will use it in this occasion. So what I want to do now is I'm going to add a healthy amount of flux to this side, and then I'm going to add flux to this side here, like so. Those pins. I'm going to place it on the edge here where you're not going to see it, but I'm going to bring the microscope in. This one, this one, this one. There we go. So I'm going to bring the microscope in here. And there we go. So we have the port in view. I'm going to heat it with my hot air station. Set at max temperature. I'm going to do 100 airflow, and I'm going to grab it with these tweezers to hold the port. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to let my hot air station heat up, and we're going to pull this port. Just heating it up here. A little bit of movement. So we got the port off. That is hot. So let's check the board here and see what it looks like. Okay, I don't see any pulled pads. As you can see, there are no pulled pads. Let me get reset under the camera over here so we can clean this up here. So there we go. So there we go. There's that. Come down a little bit. There's that cleaned up. Let's add a little bit of leaded solder to it. We can clean these pads off here. Add a little bit of more flux. I need to clean them holes out too, so I'm just going to add some leaded in there, and then we're going to clean those holes out. Just want to clean these pads off, make sure I didn't have anything pulled on them, and I don't. So, alright, so now we got to get these pads clean here. So what I need to do is I need to put a nozzle on my hot air station. So okay, so I'm going to pull this over here and get this line back up so you can see it, and I'm going to heat it from the bottom of the board, and then I'm going to use the solder sucker there it is. So I'm going to use the solder sucker to clear these holes, hopefully. Add a little bit more flux here. And hopefully we can get these holes cleared. I'm not a fan of these solder suckers, but they do work. Okay, so that has been cleaned there. So that has been cleaned out. Now we will go back to the overhead camera here. Let's go back to the overhead. Alright, so we have the port all cleaned out here. Now I'm just going to clean it up, and we're going to wick away the old solder there. So what I have here is some wick that I folded the end on to get more control over it. And I guess we could do this under the scope, probably be best. So So we're going to come in here under the scope. We're going to grab our wick, and we are going to go with the pads here. Just going to wick off the garbage, the low melt, and the solder we put on there. Going with the pads there. You see how my leg holes are all cleared out. So we got the solder. See how easy that was? Nice and easy to go. Now all we need to do is give this board a clean with some flux remover. Just like so. Clean the other side of it. It's got a little bit more flux buildup on this side here. Electric toothbrush action here. Alright, so we got that done. Now let's clean off some of that stuff with the alcohol in the flux brush. So we're going to go back to this camera here, and we're going to clean this up. I'm going to use one of my new clean room wipes with some alcohol, with the alcohol on there, and then I'm going to come in here with my clean room wipe and wipe it off here. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Alright, so that is prepped and ready to go. When I come back, I'll be putting a port on there. Thank you. Okay, we are back and we have ports. I got 2 ports in from eBay. I paid a premium for them. I have more ports coming from AliExpress. So this is the port here, new port, and we are going to solder this in here like so. Push that down, make sure it's all the way down. Okay, so that's going to be pushed down like so. Sure my iron is plugged in, and I am going to add a little bit of flux to this. So, add some flux to those pins, and I'm going to hold that down, and I'm going to solder those pins with the Hacko iron. So, I'm just going to drag this over here. I'll get rid of the bridges later. Just want to make sure these are on there. Okay, so that is going to solidify. And then we will check that. Yep, that is on there. So now I'm going to do the ground legs from the other side here. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to add some flux to these ground legs. Almost put my flux back in my soldering iron holder. So I'm going to heat this up here. In there, do this one over here. Looks good. Now let's get under the scope here. I'm going to back this camera up to there, and I'm going to bring in the scope, and we're gonna do these pins here. So there is the port, like so. And now I'm going to put some flux on there. I'm using the Kingbo RMA here. And I'm going to switch you to the microscope camera. And we are going to clean up these pins here. Just want to make sure they're all soldered, and I can go in there with a little bit of wick to clean out the blobs. Oh, that's a little dark. There we go. Make sure all these pins are good to go, and then we will get rid of the blobs with the solder wick. Okay, so let's see if I can focus that a little bit better. That will come in here with the wick. Clear all these bridges out here. And then we're going to come in here, we're going to check these pins here. Make sure they're good to go. Okay, so let's put the iron up and let's check to see if there's any bridges. I think that's flux. Let's just check these with the tweezers. They all seem to be soldered down. Okay, they all seem to be soldered down. Let's get some of this goop up here with some flux remover. I don't know if the retimer is good on this. We will be checking it in the next episode. This episode is just putting down the HDMI port and checking for shorts. I don't have a lot of time because of school for my son, so I'm just going to clean up these solder joints on the back. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to reset this up here. And I'm going to check for shorts on those pins. I think there may be a short on that one pin. Let's check and find out. So let's get our meter in here. It is in continuity mode there. So let's check these two pins here. Nope. 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 Touching the two probes together. Nope. Nope. Good. 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 And the beeps you heard was me touching the probe, so they look good. So that's going to be ready to go. In the next episode, we'll put it together, test it. You'll get to watch me struggle through reassembly. You can check me out on social media. You can also check me out on Patreon. I have a lot of Switch data on there with no need to sign up. But thank you guys for watching, and have a fantastic day.